the marathon for me was this crazy experience of going straight to like this huge level of success. And I hadn't built any of the foundations on it. So in my head, then when it fell apart because there was no foundation, I was like, why am I not better at this? I was so good at it. But I forgot that I didn't do the necessary work that I needed to sustain that success. And I think with trail for me, like it is this unknown quantity. For me, like I have no idea where this thing is heading. I just have this deep visceral feeling that this is what I'm meant to be doing. If I work now to be patient, to lay the foundation, to do things in the right way without skipping steps, it's going to get me where I need to be. Getting fourth at Black Canyon, like that was such a huge accomplishment for me because I'm like, man, like I know like how good I can be at this. And like this really feels like the first step and like really validating that I'm on the right path. I'm not where I want to be yet. It's being able to trust that it's going somewhere. It's like having that faith that where I am now is not where I'm going to be. I'm doing trail and ultra not because like I'm instantly good at it. Like this is incredibly challenging for me to do. That race was the hardest shit I have ever done. But I think it's that hardness of just being like, this is a challenge for me to confront and a problem to solve and an unknown to have to just sit in. And I think that's good for me as a person because I think it cheapens the experience if you just get everything all at once.
Today's conversation is with Molly Seidel. She's an Olympic bronze medalist in the marathon in Tokyo, and she just qualified for Western States. Today, we talk about Molly's relationship to herself and learning how to be her own first resource, and also the kind of mentorship that comes in the form of friendship. I know you're going to love this episode with Molly. Enjoy. I subscribe to happiness and confidence as earned feelings. And this was something that like I learned from a mentor of mine who was like, I think you're kind of like Emerson, who really believes that joy and confidence and happiness are earned, and you earn them by going from like point A to point B to point C, and it doesn't matter where you start. And something that I love about you and I appreciate about our friendship is that I feel like we are always going through some shit. Like, and
amen.
Right. And it's really engaging with like, where am I right now and where do I want to go? And it seems like a mountain to get there, but that is our earned joy and confidence in life. And I've always so admired you because I feel like I don't feel so alone when I'm like in some sort of place. And I feel like it's actually, I'm right where I belong if I'm engaging with exactly the start line I'm on.
I don't know. I feel like we are of a similar mind like that of life is really cyclical. Like it can't always be good. It can't always be bad. And so much of it is like living in what you're living at that moment and not trying to make it something different. And I think both of us, I think back to like when we were in Paris a couple of years ago and like both just kind of going through it in our own way. But it is that moment of like being able to appreciate when things are hard and knowing like this isn't going to last forever. And also knowing that the good times, those aren't going to last forever. But I think that that's what makes it that much more special. Like it takes experiencing like the breadth of human experience to actually appreciate what that means. Because I think without the tough times, the good times wouldn't feel as good. It's great to have the support of people around you and the support of people who get it. But I think you also have to like have that deep faith in yourself when you're going through tough times of like, no one's going to get me through this but myself. And I think once you establish that level of faith in yourself, that then it starts to click, that it's like no matter what you experience, you have that trust of like, hey, no matter what shit I'm going to come up against, like I deeply believe that I can get myself through this.
I think it would be actually really cool to track a little bit that journey of you figuring out how to be there for yourself because you are a pro at it now, but you weren't like, it's been a long path there.
Yeah.
Right. So just take me through that if you can, even however short or however long it takes you to talk me through getting to that moment that you just shared with me of, you know what, if no one's going to be there for me, I'm going to be there for myself. I need to be there for myself no matter what. Can you take me through that journey a little bit?
Yeah. I like, I feel like I've talked a lot about like the post-Olympics like dip and like how tough that was, but like I feel like it didn't really hit for me of like establishing that level of like resilience until like I fully crashed out in those years following the Olympics, but it was almost like a multi-step like prolonged crash out because so much of it was like experiencing this high level of success in the sport but having none of the, I don't know, mental or like, I don't know, I didn't have anything built in my life to be able to handle it. And I just crumbled under the pressure. And I realize that now, like I can come to terms with like what that was of just being like, I reached this pinnacle of the sport and I just didn't have any like support system within myself to be able to handle that. And so when my body started to fail me just because I had pushed it so hard to get to that level of success, it was like everything just fell apart. Mm-hmm. And it's impossible to separate like the life side of things from the sport side of things. And I think I've overly tried to focus on like all of this is sports and like crashing out. But I think it is like that aspect of like the things that were going on in my life that I wasn't confronting is like what led to that. Like they almost intermixed. Like basically what had happened is like I like grew up super Catholic, went to Catholic college, whatnot, knew my whole life I was gay, like just basically was in a situation where I was like, wasn't publicly comfortable, like saying that I wanted to like date women, just like that whole thing. And kept getting into situations where every time I was like ready to be like, okay, like I'm only going to date women from here on out, like would then like keep dating the exact same kind of guy over and over. And I think it like finally hit of like in that period, post-Olympics crash out, got into a relationship that got really serious really fast, that I wasn't being honest with myself of what I needed out of the relationship and kept kind of like stuffing down so many of these things in my life and was willing to ignore a lot of stuff that was happening in the relationship and ignore my own feelings about it. And the fact that like, I don't know, it was just a complicated situation. And so I just found over time that trying to manage the fact that like I didn't feel aligned in how I was in the relationship, but we kept moving forward. And my partner was really hurting me repeatedly, that it came to a head the month before the Olympic trials in 2024, that my entire life like fell to pieces, basically. It just got to such a difficult point that I ended up kicking him out of the house. And basically from there, my entire life just fell to shreds. My career fell to shreds. This was a person that I was like, at that point, I was convinced I was going to marry. And I had to confront, I was like, man, like, I don't know how I let the relationship get this serious when I did not want to be in a relationship with a man. And it was only from that like absolute rock bottom point of my body being more broken than it has ever been, my entire life being more broken than it has ever been, that like I finally started to rebuild. And I know that's like a shitty thing to say, but I honestly think it took like everything being taken away and everything breaking to finally be like, no, like what do I actually want out of this? Mm-hmm. I've never talked about that publicly. I never talked about that breakup publicly, and it kind of just like kept it under wraps because I felt so much shame about it for a really, really long time.
Yeah, and there wasn't like a clear resolution yet, right?
No. And it continued for a long time. Like my partner wanted to get back together with me. I know deep down I don't want to be in this relationship, but I've been told my entire life that this is what I should want out of a relationship. And that if you love someone, which I loved him so deeply, if you love someone, you need to sacrifice every part of yourself to make it work. And I think that experience of being like, no, like if someone's hurting you, that's not you loving yourself. Yeah. That's you like throwing yourself under the bus for it.
You're observing that you grew up with so many like voices, like values kind of in your head. Yeah. That like this felt like, a version of love was staying there, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was like I was so wrapped up in what everybody else wanted out of me. And like I think too, it's like when you grow up in a really structured, I don't know, system of belief like that, you aren't asked to question like what you want. And so I had just kind of done all these things reflexively. It's like you have to be marathon running and do the Olympics because that's what everybody wants you to do. You have to marry a man because that's what everybody wants you to do. You have to want all the things that you're told to want. And it wasn't until that moment in like early 2024 that I was like, fuck, like I don't want any of this. I don't want any of these things because I'm not happy. I'm deeply unhealthy and I'm like tearing myself apart because I'm trying to force myself to want things that I don't want.
Yeah.
What my life is not warranting the joy that I'm getting out of the success. And I'm putting all the other joy in the rest of my life like is taking a backseat to that like it's almost like that drug of success. And it in the same way that I almost think an addict, like I think success and ambition is highly addictive because you start to throw away everything else in order to just get more of that. And I was finding I was like basically living in injury and sadness and really deep, dark mental places for like periods of years in order to warrant having like a moment of success in a single marathon every 2 years. And then I'd spend another 2 years injured. And then I'd have another one. I was like, I got to get that again. And it was that like I was in this place of such pain in my life. But in my head, I was like, well, if I make the Olympic team in 2024, that's going to fix everything.
Yeah.
And then my fucking kneecap broke, like, because I think my body and my brain was just so unaligned with like what I was doing.
Yeah. Who is the voice of people who say what we should want? Like, who are the people that are like the Olympic marathon or whatever? Like, who is that's they? That's like the them in the world or whatever. You know, they say this is awesome or whatever. But that's coming from like an institutionalized, commoditized world, right? Because if it were not an Olympic sport, like the Olympics does make things become more prestigious, right? Yeah. What I'm trying to say is basically the things that people are telling you that you want are coming from a place that I think is actually trying to like make money and sell things. Like it's not coming from like this is objectively, it's not that marathon running is objectively better than trail running. It just is more institutionalized at the moment and it happens to be more prestigious.
Yeah. And because even then, when I switched from track to the marathon too, I got a lot of shit from people too. It's only like after I proved that I was successful at it and that I could make money off of it, that it was like made sense. Even now, like, I don't know, after doing this trail race, I was like, we always knew Molly could do it. I was like, no, you didn't. Everybody shat on me for the last 2 years when I wanted to do it. So I think it is that. It's like that level, it is constantly readjusting. And I think it's whether it's like personal opinions and cultural stuff or just like where the running world is moving or whatnot. It's like that is a constantly moving target. So I think that that's why you have to really cultivate an internal sense of success and fulfillment because it's impossible to hit the moving target of what everybody else is setting.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with your like ephemeral joy for this sport that you're doing. It has to do with how you fit into a system and to an equation where like the standards they come from context. Yeah. So the standard that this is what you should want comes from context. But when you like decontextualize how you actually feel about things in your life, when you're just like, this has nothing to do with like a need, it has nothing to do with money. It just has to do with like my relationship to like the world and my universe and my body, then you can really get in touch with like what you like and what you want. But it is really hard to dissociate like our passions in life from like our need to fit in and survive and like be in like a hierarchy.
Yeah. And I also think it like, I think that my success in the marathon has afforded me the luxury of being able to figure that out. Like, I think I was in a very different place earlier in my career where I was just like scrapping and hungry and willing to do anything in order to like get to a stable place. And now I feel like part of the equation is like I was able to have a level of success in the marathon that let me now have the freedom to explore what I actually want out of it. Because I realized like I'll have conversations with people where I'm trying to tell them like, guys, like you can't sacrifice your health for this. You can't like there's more to life than just like success in racing. And it doesn't like sink in. But I realize that like that's kind of a shitty thing for me to say as someone who has now reached this level of success that I can do what I want and explore things that are healthy and sustainable for me. Whereas like I couldn't have done that when I was 24 and working 3 jobs and would have done anything to make that Olympic team. Like I have to have a little bit of compassion for like that earlier version of myself that I was like, yeah, I was willing to throw away my mental and physical health in order to be successful. Like I was so hungry for it. And it's like, it's only now that you see what the outcome of that is, but also like I'm reaping the benefits of me being a fucking psychopath in my 20s.
I get it. Yeah. It's like the space is like an earned privilege that you now have.
Yeah. And so I feel like I can't like tell people, like it feels shitty for me to try and like warn people, be like, hey, like don't chase success at the behest of everything else. Cause I'm like, success gets you a lot of things.
Yeah. That I really vibe with. Mine, like my perspective on it, or like how I impact the world is slightly different. Like mine is more like, people are like, you're multi-hyphenate, you do this and you do this. But like when I was trying to make the Olympics, I was like decidedly kept those careers separate. Like I was like, I do not need my running coach to care about my art. I do not need the film festivals to care about my running. Like you have to become world-class at each of these. You can't just conflate them and say, I have a world-class career. It's like, actually you have a mediocre, you can have like a mediocre career in both and have it lift the other one up.
Yeah. But do you feel like some of that is you aligning more fully with what you wanted out of each of those things?
I honestly think I wouldn't have made it to the Olympics had I said I want to be an artist athlete when I was at practice.
Yeah.
Like when I was at practice, I was like, I am a runner right now. I think it just took being where my feet were. And so what I meant was like, when you're saying, hey, I don't want to like mislead people and say that whatever you just said, for me, it's like, I don't want to mislead people and make them think that I was not hyper focused on each of these crafts independently when I was doing them.
Yeah.
Like that I was like some fairy on the track. I was like, no, I was like like I was a runner.
No, you were a monster. Like, yeah.
And so I vibe with that. I'm not sure what to say about it.
But I think that like, I don't think there is a right answer for it. Like, I don't think anyone's going to solve what like balance looks like in a life, because I do think sometimes like you do have to be kind of crazy unbalanced in order to achieve big things. It's like, does it make sense for you to be balanced or unbalanced, and like just own what you want to be?
Maybe
like,
being aware of what it is you're doing. Maybe it's like at least be aware that you're like at least be aware.
Yeah. Like if you want to be a psychopath, be a psychopath, but like own that shit.
Be in the driver's seat of that.
Yeah. Because that's it. I go through phases, even now, like especially with the trail running stuff, like you have to be a little bit of a psychopath at certain periods, but like keep the perspective of knowing like, okay, like I'm doing this for a certain thing, and then like give yourself the off ramp for it as well.
Yes.
Like, because I think that's it. It's like you can have balance in different ways. You can have the balance in your day-to-day life of doing a lot of different things, or you can have the balance over the course of a year where you go super hard in the paint at one time and then you step away from it for a bit to like recharge. And figuring out what that balance looks like from person to person, I think, is different.
Yeah, there's a period of time that you're doing this. It's almost like you're getting in the pool of that mode you're talking about, and you're going to get out of the pool and dry off and be in the sun, and then you get back in a different pool.
Yeah.
If you have that propensity towards the extremes. One of my favorite parts about trail running is my connection to the actual trail. No matter what headspace and body space I wake up in, when I lace up my shoes and go out my door onto the trails just up the road, I know the run is going to take me where I'm meant to be. To carry myself to a view is one of the most satisfying ways to start a day, and being outside also helps tremendously with my creativity. I've been running in Merrell's new Agility Peak 6. The Float Pro foam cushioning gives me a gentle ride. The Flex Connect technology shifts with me in the terrain, so I have no fear of falling. The Vibram Mega Grip traction locks me in on technical terrain so I can focus on nothing but the run. And what am I thinking about on the run these days? I've been writing my new book, and when I'm running alone especially, I use my time to reset and reflect on big thoughts that are eventually going to end up on the page. The Agility Peak 6 is also available in Gore-Tex, and it's available on Merrell.com starting February 6th, along with many other shoes and apparel I love. Merrell has been a global leader on the trail for over 40 years, innovating and crafting footwear designed for adventures of all speeds and sizes. You guys are in luck because the offer is amazing. For a limited time, we're partnering with Merrell to give you 25% off your first purchase using the code MentorBuffet25 when you check out on Merrell.com. That's MentorBuffet25 when you check out on Merrell.com. Meryl believes in sharing the power of outside with everyone, and so do I. So let's get outside, get out on the trails, and let's get back to the episode. We talk about like, what do you get out of that moment, that brief moment you're talking about when you were chasing like success and you're like, if only I can get run that race well. And then you were injured for a few months, that thing you were reaching for, how would you describe it? Is it a drug hit, or is it actually then everyone will leave me alone so I can figure out what I really want? Is it a distraction? Like, what is it that we get out of those moments of success that we chase when we're actually in the middle of chaos?
It's funny because I feel like for me, that's always been there. Like, I think I was just kind of born with that. Maybe that is like my core, like, I don't know, core challenge that I have to like confront is that like I was born with this thing where it's like I truly believe that me fully at my best, running like all out, doing what I love to do is the best in the world at this. That feeling of being like, I'm getting close to that alignment of being like, I know that I am maximizing my potential. I feel like I am like doing the very best that I can do. And it really is, that moment of success is a little bit divorced from like what I get out of it financially. Like I'm not thinking about the outcomes of it. It is just that joy in being like, I knew I could do this. And it is that deep internal, like I knew I could do it. But I think that then turns toxic for me if I'm not aware of where I'm taking it, because that's where it becomes a drug, where it spirals out of control. Because especially like in the marathon or in track or whatnot, I take that feeling and that desire to be like, I want to maximize my potential and see how good I can be at this. And then I try to overreach for what my ability level is or whatnot. Like in the marathon, I think I could have had a fully healthy and happy full marathon career until I was 40 if I had just trained like the athlete that I was at the marathon, which is like probably at my best, maybe like 2:19. I think at my best in the marathon, I can probably run at 2:19. But in my mind, I'm like, you can be the best in the world at that. And so I try to fucking train like a 2:16, 2:15 girl, and I break every single time. And so I think it's having to have that honesty of like, what do you want to be versus like, what are you? And I think that that's always been my struggle. It's like that deep belief. I'm like, I know that I can be the best in the world at this, but I don't know. I keep trying to be something that I'm not. And it then gets me into trouble because then I'm like, why can't I be that? Can I train harder? Can I be that? And it's like, it's wrestling with that feeling. And I don't know if that's just me being a psychopath or whatnot, or me being cocky or delusional. But I think like every time I step to the line of a race, I go into it with the intention of like, I want to be the best at this.
Then how interesting for you to be taking up a sport that you're quite novice in, because you have to be reverent to the mystery of it and to be kind of having this coach in your life that knows more than you. So like is it interesting now to be in a sport that you like, you're kind of a freshman, maybe you're JV now. Maybe like number 1 or 2 on the JV team. That's so like, people are like, you qualified for Western States. How could you be JV?
Yeah.
But like, tell me about the relationship with believing you can be the best and that feeling, that like kind of inner, I mean, I'm just like going to take a sides today to say I will never forget, because you inspired me to chase this Greek record, because we were on the roof of an apartment in Paris.
Oh my God, yeah.
The night before
my appendectomy.
Your appendectomy. We had just gone to dinner and we were like maybe a little tipsy.
We were fully drunk. Call it like it was.
We were drunk on a roof in Paris and like the Eiffel Tower is right there and it's like so awesome. And you're just like, you can do it. And like you had this intensity. And I was like, I love this person so much because I am a little monster too. And I just had to mention that because I think that's the part of you that's coming out when you're like, I see how beautiful it is that you believe that in yourself, because you even inspired me to believe it about myself for my own goals.
Yeah.
But tell me about this relationship you're now having, brand new,
Mhm.
sort of brand new side of the sport,
Yeah.
brand new sport,
Yeah.
coach, and like, how does that play with your
Mhm.
ego
Mhm.
of, I believe I can be the best, I overdo it.
Mhm.
How does that play with you?
Yeah, I think some of it is like going into this new sport and really wanting to be intentional about not making the mistakes that I've made in the past where like I'm very bullheaded. Like I always think I know best and trying to really trust in the process. I know that's such a fucking cliche to say, but like trust in the process of it, of being like, no, like part of being a newbie at something is like taking the time to do it right and build the foundation of it. And having the faith that if you build the foundation correctly and don't try to just like get everything at once, get that quick success, that it will pay off in the end. Because I think like for the marathon for me was this crazy experience of going straight to like this huge level of success. And I hadn't built any of the foundations on it. So in my head, then when it fell apart because there was no foundation, I was like, why am I not better at this? I was so good at it. But I forgot that I didn't do the necessary work that I needed to sustain that success. And I think with trail for me, like it is this unknown quantity for me. Like I have no idea where this thing is heading. I just have this deep visceral feeling that this is what I'm meant to be doing. And in the past, me chasing that feeling has led to great things. But it is just trusting of like, I have to believe that if I work now to be patient, to lay the foundation, to do things in the right way without skipping steps, it's going to get me where I need to be. But I'm okay if it doesn't pan out. Like, if, like getting fourth at Black Canyon, like that was such a huge accomplishment for me because I'm like, man, like I know like how good I can be at this. And like this really feels like the first step and like really validating that I'm on the right path. I'm not where I want to be yet. It's being able to trust that it's going somewhere. It's like having that faith that where I am now is not where I'm going to be.
It's almost like we can be grateful you didn't win.
Yeah.
Right? Because,
no, but honestly,
right?
like I think that is like the best situation, especially for me, because I think if I'd like gone out and had this like crazy waste, there's nowhere for me to go from there.
And
like
that's the same beginning
Mhm.
as you had in the marathon in a way.
And it's like, and it's being able to look at that growth as like a positive thing. Like I'm doing trail and ultra not because like I'm instantly good at it. Like this is incredibly challenging for me to do. That race was the hardest shit I have ever done. But I think it's that hardness of just being like, this is a challenge for me to confront and a problem to solve and an unknown to have to just sit in. And I think that's good for me as a person because I think it cheapens the experience if you just get everything all at once.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about with the earned joy and the earned confidence. I'm saying like, if you just got it, you actually don't get the joy. You don't actually get as much out of it. You save time, I guess, but that's not the point of anything.
Yeah, because that's it. It's like we get tricked in our capitalist hellscape of a culture that like that the best thing is to get the thing that you want as quickly as possible. And I really don't think that's what it is. I really think it is the journey and the experience and that delayed gratification that makes it so good. Like why I was so happy getting that golden ticket is because this has been like years of struggle and years of just being in the fucking weeds of it. And like this time last year, I couldn't run. And I remember talking to my girlfriend and just being like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this anymore. And like that heartbreak that I felt. Like I had a day we were like at Barton Springs and I just sobbed to her of like this deep heartbreak that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to run at the pro level anymore. And I love this more than anything in the world. And it's going from that and being in the weeds and being uncertain for such a long time and then coming out and being able to get a golden ticket. That was like pure unadulterated joy just because of where I had come from.
That is so beautiful. And it is such a, like, I want to shout it to like the treetops or whatever people say. I want to stand on the cloisters.
Yeah.
And I want to tell like, you know, like young people who are impatient that like the more it takes, the happier you will be, or the more grateful, or the more like, and so to really not be so afraid of what it takes to do anything.
Yeah. But I think that that's a hard thing. Like, that's something that I just didn't understand when I was in my 20s. I think that was like something that I had to learn over time, that it is worth it more when it takes a while, that like there is a point to the pain and the sadness, and like that the level of joy that you can reach with something is like just directly proportional to the sadness and the pain that you can like not withstand, but that you can let yourself sit in.
Yeah, and process and stay by your side during.
Yeah,
right?
It's like your capacity through these big emotions, whether it's high highs or low lows, I think your capacity to feel things does grow over time. Like, I think that I allow myself to feel more joy at the successes because I've experienced like some really low lows. And I don't know, I think maybe there are some people that would be like, oh, I never want to experience the highs or the lows. I want to stay at like an even 5 all the time. And I'm just not going to be that way. Like,
no.
I don't know. I think there really is something like human about being able to handle the tough stuff.
I mean, when you saw your face crossing the finish line of Black Canyon, it's called, yes, it was Black Canyon.
Yeah, Black Canyon.
I was like, I'm always like confused because I'm not as versed in the ultra.
Yeah, no, it's not good.
But when you saw your face crossing the finish line at Black Canyon, your joy was like so true and real. And like, I know you well enough now to know like how many smiles you've had to fake, and myself included. I mean, we've both like had to do photo shoots injured, but like there's a lot of like showing up to things when we're not like emotionally there. And so to really feel it and to see you is like so awesome. What you're talking about 5 minutes ago was like you basically were the one that grew up as a kind of like a know-it-all, like to yourself. Like you're like, I know better than everybody. And now you're like not only becoming responsive and like listening to your own lessons and being like, okay, I need to learn from myself. But also you're like learning from this new world you're in. You're learning from your coach, and like you're letting the process be part of the resolution. And like that is so beautiful, to not have the process be a detour or a thing you just simply must deal with, but it's actually the ingredient that will make you happiest.
Yeah. Or even just like, I think something that I actually really appreciate from the doctor that I work with, Noah Moose.
Yeah.
He always says the thing is like, you have to be kind of open to the world of like infinite possibility. Like you have to sometimes trust that like it can be better than you even could imagine. And that's like a crazy thing for me to think, because I love sitting in the idea of like, I'm going to plan out everything. I'm going to know exactly like if I do X, then X happens. And I think that the fun part of life is experiencing like, oh, it's going to be crazy and you have no idea where it's going to go. Like, I don't know. And it is something like that it's like, I don't know, that real life will be more insane and worse and better than you could ever imagine.
Yes. This is like, there's an entire part of my book about the infinite and unknown, which is so crazy you just said that. I have a running coach for the first time in 7 years. And for the first time in a long time, I have a goal in mind. I want to run a personal best in the marathon. I have the Greek record in the 10K and I want it in the marathon too. Training on this level takes thoughtfulness, patience, and especially recovery because I'm balancing so much in my big, busy life. Therabody is my teammate in recovery. It's essential to the consistency that's helping me get closer to my goals, which I've begun saying out loud. I've relied on Therabody for years, and I especially love how their products combine multiple therapies into one device. The JetBoots Pro Plus combine compression, vibration, and LED. The Theragun Mini Plus, it's so portable I don't go anywhere without it. It does massage and heat. These are science-backed devices that actually work. They've done wonders for me. Therabody is part of my daily routine, morning, night, and wherever else I feel like it. If recovery is something you know you should be taking more seriously, visit Therabody.com and use code MentorBuffet at checkout for 15% off one product of your choice. Your body and goals will thank you. Terms and conditions apply. Now it's time to get back to the episode. We place a lot of humans like really have trouble imagining something we don't know. And so when you imagine like the result of any decision, you're often imagining like the thing you can imagine, which is the thing you've experienced or seen. And you're right. Like and Noah Moose is right that there's like that infinitely unknown good or bad
Mm-hmm.
that like I think we needed more of an image for so that we can like actually give emphasis to it. Because how can you imagine something you don't know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I've started to imagine like an actual treasure chest that like is full of, you know, treasure, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what's in there, like a bunch of fucking treasure, you know? And so I've like tried to put like an image to it because otherwise I think that my mind goes immediately to what I know, which is not the infinite possibility. It's the it's possibility.
Yeah. But I think even too, when you try to plan things out too much or where you try to like set expectations, I think you do almost limit yourself in what's possible. Like I think of so many times in my career where I've set out for a certain goal, envisioning something, and then the outcome was so radically different that I couldn't have imagined. But I think that that's kind of the cool part of just being like, I don't know, the more you try to set an expectation that it will almost like shape where it goes. And it's like, if you just leave yourself open and being like, hey, I'm just going to follow the process of it, it might go somewhere that's way cooler than what it seemed at the outset.
I mean, that plays for you, what, like going
I think I know exactly where that plays.
Me.
That plays where we met each other at the Houston half for me, full for you. We warmed up together, or we shook out together the day before in that weird little like swamp area. I don't know what they call it, the bog, the swamp. Somebody from Houston, tell us what it's called. But we were down there and this was like my first big half marathon. You were running the marathon there. And I remember talking to you and you being like, just like, be okay with being a rookie. Like, this is your rookie season. You're going to be running your first marathon at the trials. Like, be okay with not knowing anything and enjoy that. And I ran a great half marathon that day, but went into trials just being like, shit, I don't know how this is going to go. I'm in the third wave of this race. Like, I've never run a marathon before, but I kept that in mind of be like, you are a rookie. Like, be okay with this being whatever a rookie season looks like. I couldn't have imagined making the Olympic team in that race. But I think it was that like, I don't know, that manifestation of just like be open to something wild happening because you can't know what's going to happen because you've never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is like, I really think about that a lot. And even like going into trail now too, how I'm approaching Western States, it's like, I can't have expectations for it because I don't know what it's going to be like to run 100 miles. But I think that was like truly such a deep thing that you said of just like when you're a rookie, just be okay with being a rookie. You can't be confident yet if you haven't done it. That doesn't mean you can't go do great things.
Yeah. It's like instead of raise the ceiling, just have no ceiling. Like just like have the sky.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't know. It could rain.
Yeah.
It could be sky.
And be equally okay with either of those options. But I think it's like, because we try to make this pejorative of like, oh, it has to end well. And it's like, what does well even mean? Like,
right.
Because sometimes the setback that you experience or the bad race, that might end up being the best thing you ever, like, it could lead to something even greater. You just don't know because that's how the universe works.
Yeah. Your old end will be the new beginning.
Yeah.
As it has been for, I think, both of us in so many ways.
I just think of like silly things, like if certain like quote unquote bad things hadn't happened, that good things wouldn't have come from there. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. It is just like, I think the universe is very funny like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. But it requires you putting yourself in those mysterious circumstances without knowing. Because there's also like a contract you sign of like, I don't know. Yeah. Yes, it can go either way. Mm-hmm. And if you're not willing to put yourself at risk like that, then you'll never get either option. Yeah. Like you were talking about the middle. And I'm like, yeah, those people were not willing to like deal with the worst case scenario or benefit from the best, you know? So I do think there's like an agreement you make in addition to like a worldview of like, I'm a freshman or I have this possibility. There's also an agreement to like, I sign on to the mystery. Yeah. And I think even too, like the being scared of the mystery, that's just a natural part of human life. But it's like, I can't remember where I heard this. It's probably from a movie or something. I want to like attribute it to a philosopher, but it's probably from a movie. But it is that feeling of like when you are most scared, jump. Like, oh, whoa. Yeah. But it is that feel of like, you're always going to be scared. But if you just wait forever, the moment's going to pass. Like when you feel that fear, that means you got to go for it. Wow. That's a good one to absorb when you're not at that moment. Like, so that when it happens, you're like, I already know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. But because you can't like logic your way through fear. You kind of just have to go for it.
Here's just a little observation I've been making in the world. I live in LA. I see a lot of trends. I've been noticing a lot of tooth gems. And I also noticed that people aren't drinking as much. Like, you'll go to a restaurant and people are drinking non-alcoholic cocktails, or if you're like me, you're drinking Go Brewing, the best NA beer option out there. Now, I'm not saying that I never drink. I'm just saying that I'm not drinking right now and that I'm opting for Go Brewing over every other drink on the menu. And the can art is amazing. Like, it's so cute. Go Brewing has a beer club where they launch a new beer every month. So every month you can open your fridge and go on a brand new adventure. Go to gobrewing.com/Alexi50 for 50% off your first beer club subscription with code Alexi50. It'd be fun to talk about like what it is to be a good friend to somebody and also a mentor, because you've helped me, and I hope I've been there for you during times when like I actually needed some like advice from the right person, which sometimes is your peer.
Yeah. I see friendship as someone who can like see you as a full person and tell you what you need to hear when you need to hear it and know that it's going to be like accepted. And I mean that in the way of like, I feel like you've been such a mentor to me and almost like big sister energy of like the times that I've struggled the most. I feel like you have been so like clear-eyed and direct with me about what I needed, but also cared for me on such a deep level. Like, you've called me out on my bullshit and it was like exactly what I needed to hear. And then you also like took such good care of me when I was like really, really struggling. And I think that that's what I really value most about our friendship is that like, I know that you're going to tell me like when I'm struggling over a problem, like I call you because I know that you're not going to bullshit on like about any of it. And you're going to tell me in a way that like comes from a deeply loving place that you would never like lie to me or like try to just make me feel better by saying like trite little things. I don't know. I even think of like when I was trying to decide if I stay in Flagstaff or go back to Austin for like the period right before New York, because I was really struggling. And I was just like, you're the only person that like whatever you say I should do, I know that's what I need to do because like you see me so completely.
Thank you for saying that. Well, I care to see you. I think it's also like you have to want to see your friends. Mm-hmm. You have to really want to see them if you want to help them, because if you put them through your own lens, like what I should do, that doesn't always serve what you need, you know, because we're two different people. And I think one of the things that I'm trying to figure out like how to say is like, I wish people understood how much like a friendship, and ours in particular, is also about sometimes you make a suggestion to someone as you have to me and I have to you, or give them a perspective, but you gotta let them make their own decisions and you can't shame them if they're not ready yet.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you don't tell them the truth, but it means you don't like abandon them when they aren't ready for whatever it is that like you might see in them.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I think we've always also had moments where it's like,
oh yeah,
you know, and
I think even so much of my running over the like latter half of 2024, like of me like continuously trying to run and you probably just being like, this bitch just needs to like rest and like stop trying. But I think you like opened up so much space for you to be like, I don't know, to let me make the mistakes that I was going to make and you still be there to like support me and love me through it.
But isn't that the same thing that we're saying about the journey that of like earning your joy or earning like when you go through the long journey and then eventually you get to the finish line metaphorically and literally and you feel the journey. Isn't it also like a part of that every like advice or lesson or pivot you make based on like maybe wisdom you learn from a friend or from your experiences, it actually has to be internalized and true for you. You can't just like live following people's advice and not believing it.
Yeah,
right?
No, but I think that that's where almost like that feeling of like sisterhood comes from, because it's like it's knowing like, okay, they're just going to have to experience it for themselves. There's nothing I can tell them that will change how, like, maybe it's that, like, you really do have to experience something in order to learn it. You can't, like, just learn it through hearing it. You have to deeply feel it. And I think that is that sense of almost like where I feel like you're my big sister because you let me, like, live the experience and, like, talk me through it. And you're not trying to, like, I don't know, lecture me into doing something. It's like having the grace to let me make the mistakes and do the things and still, like, be there through it.
Yeah.
And leave the opportunity for, like, growth.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's where the most positive relationships come from. It's knowing that each of us will grow in the way and at the speed that we need to grow.
Yeah.
And just being like, hey, like, I'm here for you, like, as you are now and what you're going to become and however long that takes.
Yeah. And it's rare to find in our world because, I mean, to be really direct, I think there's a lot of fair weather friendships. And that is because I think there's like a general, hopefully it's like dissipating, but there can be like a real scarcity mindset. And so people tend to like follow popular things and people, and that it's not always popular to like be there for someone when they're struggling.
I agree with you there that it's like that it's, I don't know, it's less cool or harder to be with someone when they're struggling. But I also think that, like, it is really deeply scary to be known by someone. I think that is the scariest thing that you can experience as a person, is being fully seen. Because so many of us, we want to project to a lot of our friendships, to the people around us, like, I am a strong, confident, fully realized person. And it's really scary when someone sees your flaws, because when they see your flaws, it's up to them whether or not they want to stay through it. And I think that sometimes friendship is almost this, like, drawn out process of just showing more and more of the shitty parts of yourself and being like, hope you still show up, like, hope you still love me. But it's the same as, like, that's why I think, like, we put so much emphasis on, like, romantic relationships in our culture. But I think friendships are just as intimate, because it is that process of, like, to truly love someone, like, whether it's romantically, platonically, you have to see a person and you have to know them and understand them and be like, hey, I see all the parts of you and I'm still showing up. But I think that that's a terrifying thing to experience. And so a lot of people, I know I've done this in the past, of, like, you hold people at an arm's length because you're like, I don't want you to see the shitty parts of me. I want you to think that I'm a good person. I honestly don't care if you think that I'm a good person or not. Like, I know that you see me as the person that I am.
Yeah, it's because we need certain people, we hope, and we need certain relationships to be dense enough that we could actually get help from them, which requires actually being honest, which requires actually being ugly, you know? And it's so interesting because, like, I guess I've never really told you this, but, like, when watching you go through, like, some of these journeys, part of the thing that, like, made me stay closest to you, or, like, just make sure you knew I was, like, right there, was when I realized how people, even though they love you, like, no one's bad, people are well-intentioned, but how much people were letting you get by being fake.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like you were a bad person. You were just fully in a personality that you were so good at.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is, like, most of the world, like, just, like, like, what is going on? Because I could, like, see, and it wasn't, do you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh my God, because you are so likable and you are so able to, like, show up in your personality, and it's all anyone would expect because it's beyond wonderful and eloquent and charming. But, like, I could just see, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, I'm so glad she's, like, able to, like, navigate the world, because it's, like, important that you can navigate and, like, survive.
But that's when I knew that we were going to be, like, best friends, is when, like, there was a moment where you called me out and you're like, no, not that. Don't do that. You're being fake. Don't do that. Don't do the hey girl thing to me.
Oh,
don't do that. Like, literally that. It was like when you called me out, I was like, oh my God.
The hey girl. Okay. For those of everyone listening,
girlie, just checking in, and I'm like, oh my God. Oh no. So I've gotten got.
The hey girl. So the hey girly. Hey girl. The thing about this is it's, like, a girl's way of saying, like, I'm okay. So don't come in here. And I'm like like it's this like weird, it's a little infantilizing. Also, you're younger than me, but hey girly. It's a total like shield when people say it. And I can like pick up on it. But yeah, I remember that. And I was like, okay. And I remember also like testing with you, like, does she want me as a friend like this? Because I also only want friendships where it's like, do they want the friendship? Like, it's all good if this needs to remain like surface level. Like, I don't need to force anything. It was just more that I was like, I think this can be equitable, right?
Yeah.
This can be really healthy and good. But it does take like a few things of like, I'm going to like try and be really honest with you.
That's where I appreciate, because it was like, I had such a guard up for such a long time, because I think I had just learned like, hey, don't show anybody like your actual self. Like, I am so good at just like putting on a mask or like being what somebody needs me to be.
Yeah.
I think that that's where I developed the trust that this was going to be like a really deep friendship, when it was like, you experienced my mask and you saw through it, and then you kept like coming back and try, rather than being like, no, she's a lost cause. It was like that you kept trying, and each time like developing that trust. And like, I think that that's what really made the distance, or like the difference of being able to trust over time. Like, oh, this is someone that I can show my full self to. She's not going to like use it against me. Because I think there's always that fear. I think especially amongst like female relationships, you're like, oh, like if I give this person like the knowledge of who I am, are they going to use it against me?
Yeah.
Because I think that that's like a very like immature thing that like women will do. But I think like at a certain level, like you learn like, no, there are the people that I can fully trust. And I think that that is like the core of what female friendships are, of being like, I'm just honest with you and you see everything.
Yeah. And it's, will they use it against me, kind of presses up against this thing of like, I need to take care of myself. Like, there's almost like a deep survival thing that gets triggered where you're like, don't like, this is great, but like, if I let you in, like, you don't want people to like fuck with your shit. Cause like you worked hard to like, and you've been, like you work hard to build the life you have, and you don't owe it to anybody. I think that's the other thing is like, actually, I think our personality is a thing we develop because it's a tool that we use so that we don't always have to let everybody in. I think the personality is not a bad thing. I don't
think you ever could be like, I don't think people can be like fully publicly open about who they are. Like, I think you do have like, you have your interior self. And that's why I think it's really important to have those close friendships that you can be that too, but that you also like are able to be what you need to be to the outside world. I think it would almost be like too much.
Yeah.
Like to have no guard up against the outside world. That would be terrifying.
We were driving here and we were talking about like where your running is going. And essentially you said that it's going to go into the mysterious, infinite, expanded unknown, or whatever that place was, where you don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
And it's sick. And I hope you protect that you don't have to know where it's going, because it almost feels like whenever you've had to know where something's going, that's where you go wrong. Like when you have these deadlines and these races and these,
or like things that like maybe that's expectations to uphold.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this is a really fun period where it is kind of just like, hey, it could be any number of different things, and I'm fully okay with any of the outcomes. Like however it pans out, I think that that's what I'm excited for, of just like seeing where it ends up, because it really, like, the thing with like marathon running, like the goal was always Olympics in marathon running, because there's like a very like, this is the end goal. Whereas I feel like trail is so much broader and creative, and you can do so many more things with it, that I think that's the fun part. It is less established of a sport, but I think that growth, it feels like the growth of the sport mirrors like my own growth of like, it can go any number of ways. And that's where it's going to be fun to just see where it takes me.
It's so awesome. And it's kind of like your second life, because you didn't see it coming.
No, absolutely not. I think when I imagined what my 30s would be like, I think I just imagined that I'd be doing the same 2 major marathons a year until the end of my career, and blah, blah, like a very straight track of it. And this is like, it's been a harder journey, but it's so much more fun. It's so much more interesting.
And you're seeing the world.
Yeah.
Like, I love hearing about you building all these maps and like and being so healthy and like being in the sun. Like there's so much, well, because sometimes you just think about like, what is my life right now? And you're like, oh, you're out there in the wilderness. Like
that's
awesome.
it. It really is like the daily adventure of it. And it's like, that's kind of the person that I've always been. I think maybe it's that it's like finally getting to be in a place where I'm like, oh, I get to do the things that I just always wanted to do as a kid. Like I just want to be outdoors adventuring. I want to be traveling the world. I want to be getting to run with like cool new people and like meeting people, and I don't know, even just like getting to spend hours in my own head, like kind of figuring out the person that I am like in real time. That's what I really enjoy about it.
That's really cool. That's good advice too for people to be like, actually zoom out to like, how do you want your days to look? Like forget the job title or the goal title. Like forget the like putting it down on paper like that. Put it instead, think about like, yeah, like what does it smell like? What are your mornings like? Like where are you spending all your time?
Yeah.
And like then see if there happens to be like a way to do that, you know, which thankfully there is for you.
I think the biggest thing for me, especially over this past year, is like, don't be afraid to start something because you're worried you're going to fuck up, because you will fuck up, but you'll do it anyway. So, and I think of that, like that is applied to so many different things in my life of just like, I am naturally a bit of a perfectionist. Like I've had to really break myself of that fact, but I feel almost this like hesitation to start things because I'm like, well, if I can't do it perfectly the first time, it's not worth doing. And I think that experience of just being like, you're never going to be fully ready to start something. Just be okay with knowing that like you will fuck up multiple times, probably in like successively bigger and bigger ways over time. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to like get somewhere good or that it can't end up good. Because I think we conflate messing up with like complete abject failure, and messing up is just a part of learning. Like you have to mess up if you want to learn and get better. So I think it's that of like, whether it's in my trail running, whether it's in my relationship, whether it's in like even me finishing like my MBA or whatnot, it was just like I fucked up so many times and it somehow still worked out because the messing up is the point.
That's great. Well, let's leave it at that. All right, everyone. That was Mentor Buffet. Thank you, Molly. I love you.
I love you too.
If you're enjoying Mentor Buffet, follow Voicing Change for more inspirational and truly life-affirming content from shows like Soul Boom, The Proof, Feel Better, Live More, and the Rich Roll podcast. Just go to voicingchange.media. That's voicingchange.media for a beautiful selection of productive and positive shows.